What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros Live Show. We've got a lot to talk about today because even though the morning started off with a nice little pump once again in the markets after yesterday's typhoon with Coinbase, markets have dipped again and Bitcoin briefly dropped below 60,000. It is back above 61 as we are speaking. Altcoins are high today, but they even had a little bit of a drop. What does this mean? I'm going to spoil one of the things we're going to talk about, but we are seeing some evidence that retail investors are coming in. No, it's not just the Coinbase thing that happened yesterday, which was a sign that retail investors are coming out. There is another piece of data that would signal that retail investors are coming back. So even though this massive pump has come on the backs of institutional adoption, could we see the people, the retail investors, ruin it and see the end of a rally? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Levels to be watching both above and below, and cover all the news that are breaking so that you can stay up to date with everything you need to know in crypto. We also will do another community trade. So if you're excited, stick around for the entire show. Before we dive into those details and the meat and potato of this episode, I do have to introduce my co-host for the stream, Mr. T. Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T. Shroom, how you feeling today?
Better than I deserve, Tim. A lot better than I deserve. We've got some good things cooking here over at the Investing Bros. Going to be really excited to let you guys know about those very, very soon. But I've got a quote of the day from somebody who, I'm surprised that we have not ever quoted this gentleman before. This was actually a request, one of our first requests for a quote of the day. Let's get into it. The only thing that can ruin a good day is people. And this is from none other than Ernest Hemingway. Tim, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, in case you guys are wondering who requested, it was me. I requested this to be the quote of the day because it's very true. It's very true. You can be having just the best day of your life, and then you have to interact with people, and everything goes bad. Crypto can be going so well, and then people get involved, and it just ruins everything. That's ultimately the quote of the day today. Put a 1 in chat if you agree with that quote from good old Ernest Hemingway. I know I do for certain. T-Shun, what do you think? Do you agree with the quote? It was a requested quote. It wasn't your creation, but what do you think about that quote?
I'll take the under on it. I think that
Okay.
I think actually that people are sometimes the best part of my day. So, they can make or break a day. The key is to make sure that your fulfillment in the goodness of a day, of a present, of a trial, right, of a tribulation, make sure that the goodness is coming from and valued by internal motivation, intrinsic motivation, not by the views of other people. I don't know. I think that might be helpful to add into that soup of thought there. But overall, I've definitely had some days ruined by people too.
Good counter thought. Yeah, people make it or break it, but sometimes they break it, and when they break it hard. I see a lot of people in chat commenting about my chart behind me. You guys can see a very large bubble called Bonk, up 65% in the last 24 hours. Good for Bonk. You guys know what Bonk is, though, right? Bonk is a meme coin. And what have we talked about recently with meme coins? Sometimes the pumpage of meme coins can be the end of the rest of the rally. Let's go to my chart here real quick. Let's look at Bonk. Let's just stay on this here for a little bit. Now, we're not quite back to all-time high here with Bonk. We topped out here back in December, right? A lot of zeros. That 4 zeros and then a 3 and a 5 here. Of course, Bonk kind of came onto the scene, got explosive back in October. This, of course, is it's a Solana. I was about to say, I was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong. Bonk is a meme coin on Solana, had ties with the phone. Now, notice, again, we peaked out here December 15th. What happened to the likes of crypto during that same time? Oh, look at that. That was the top of Solana, and that was the top of again, even though Bitcoin just traded sideways, it was that top momentum when we hit 53 and then just kind of traded sideways here on December. We'll see. That's February 15th. I'm looking at the wrong. Let's go back to Bonk. Oh, I have to go back. Bonk. USDT. Yeah. December there. Yeah. Solana. It was Solana's high, though. There we go. Boom. Back here. So when these meme coins rally, sometimes you do see that be a sign of the top signal. But for now, enjoy those things. I did see someone say, is it too late to get in on Bonk? Let's take a look again. I just want to look at comparison there. Let's go to crypto, the one I liked before. It has more analysis. Again, we're not all the way back to all-time high. Let's see what Lux is saying. It gives me no volume here, so I can't take any volume look whatsoever. But we do see Lux here on the 4-hour chart, even though it's overextended, saying potentially you got a little more room left in it. Let's see over here. A lot of rejection on the oscillators with bearish divergence. Oh, look at that. Money flow here on the 4-hour. It's still above the bullish threshold, but it's definitely coming back down. So I wouldn't say with Definity you can't have any more gains on Bonk, but I think a little bit of a retracement, at least back down to the red resistance. That red line's supposed to be resistance. At the moment, it would be nice just to see it as support. So definitely at least wait for something like that. I would be very surprised if we saw that continue. Even the daily chart, not necessarily overwhelmingly bullish here. You can see it's actually testing the top of the red resistance here. I'm not a meme coin guy, though. So I will stop and say, you know what? If your heart tells you you want to buy meme coins, because sometimes meme coins don't make any logical sense. They just do what they want to do despite statistics and data and everything else. So you do what you want to do. I'm not going to buy any. I'm not going to buy any Bonk. T-Shirt, are you buying any Bonk today?
No. If it's not a piece of my core in investment portfolio, then likely I'm only going to be buying from here probably like Bitcoin mining stocks. Yeah. So I've got my bags. I've got them packed. You know, you should have bought them. I bought them. You know, all throughout the fall of 2023, and now we bought our ticket. We're taking the ride. You know, when it comes to new allocations, again, I think probably Bitcoin mining stocks, Cardano undervalued, XRP if you want to roll those dice. I'm not, but XRP kind of in that category as well.
Yeah.
Compound, as it turns out, we found out. I think it was Monday. Compound actually looks pretty well positioned to do well. Pretty underbought.
Possibly. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not Bonk though. Not because it's the worst meme coin. I think it's going to do probably so.
It's definitely not the worst meme coin.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to meme coins, it's really hard to say for certain. I do think, and I made this prediction probably about 6 months ago. I do think Pepe is going to be really good. Of course, Pepe's been pumping here recently. I think as we get closer to election season, Pepe is going to make its own little case there. Coin I picked back a couple of months ago, like about 2 months ago, we made a little portfolio and we chose one meme coin. I chose MAGA, not because I'm this massive Trump supporter, but just because I know those who are massive Trump supporters, they do things like that. They'll pump it. I think election season, you're going to see a lot of meme coins go nuts. And I think Bonk could be one of them. I think Bonk could have a nice, impressive rally. I'm just sitting here looking at the chart and saying, I'm not going to be buying a coin on principle when in the last, week, it is up 116% with no retracement really whatsoever during that time period. I like to buy after some bearish candles, not after 7 bullish candles in a row. That's not a good buy opportunity traditionally in the world of crypto, if you did not know. But again, you do whatever you want to do. It is your money. Let's take a look at the markets.
Let's do it.
Speaking of things that are moving. Now, despite the fact that we pulled back, Bitcoin's still up because we had that big pullback yesterday. It's still up 2% in the last 24 hours. Ethereum's still up almost 4%. Solana is the big dog here. Now, someone said in chat, that's the reason Bonk's up, because Solana's had such a great day. I put a video out earlier today. Well, actually, some of you guys watched. I made a video yesterday with 11 coins I thought would have fantastic marches. All 11 of them started pumping after that video went out, and it's not even March yet. Solana ended up hitting my lower target of 126, and then my upper target 144. We got to about 135 or so, but I think there's still, if the retail investors don't ruin it, I think Solana can still hit my long-term high prediction of 144 before a big pullback. It's the big one. Now, it's cooled off a good amount, but this morning, Cardano was also sitting really, really high. It's still up almost 10% on the day, but did take a little bit of backseat. It got up over 70 cents, now hovering a little bit below 68. Dogecoin, of course, another meme coin, having a fantastic day, up 12%. AVAX also. Now, AVAX was lagging this morning, and I actually, this isn't the main purpose of the video that went out today at noon. I focused on Cardano and Solana, but I made a point. I said, guys, AVAX having a good day, but could have a little bit better of a day. And that was back when it was hovering around 40. At the time I made the video, it was only at 41 cents. So, pretty interesting. It's actually up since the time I made that video, up 10% on the day. Chainlink kind of hovering. Here's one I will say. Chainlink, one of my top picks for this bull market. Once again, it does this after kind of leading breakouts. Like, something big's about to happen here recently because Chainlink breaks out and then it trades sideways while everything else has its heyday. Again, everything else going to new highs. Chainlink briefly touched a new high, but is not doing much. I still think we're looking at a $21 to $23 Chainlink coming very soon if things get explosive and if retail doesn't ruin this rally. Again, we'll cover more of that here later on in the show. Look for potentially a move up to the 0.5 level, up to $30 for Chainlink. That's also the high we had back in January of 2022. But for now, let's keep our eyes on this zone we've been watching. $21 to $23 for Chainlink could be interesting. Let's take a look at biggest gainers and biggest losers. There we go. Bonk number one, 65%. Wow, shocker. 90 days, 500% in the last 90 days. So 3 months. Bonk has been doing very well. 100 in the last 30 days, 100 in the last 7 days. That means everything's pretty much happened for it this week. So here we go. Bonk number one, meme coin. Shiba Inu number two, meme coin. Now, I will make the argument for SHIB. I'm not planning on owning SHIB, but SHIB was a meme coin that is actually trying to accomplish things and be a use case token. They're trying to do something that Bitcoin doesn't even do, and that's help mankind, according to Jim Cramer. Some of you who watched our show yesterday will get that reference. Solana, though, coming in number three. You love to see it here. Arweave doing really well. Filecoin doing really well. Or Philcon, according to Jim Cramer. Let's see what else. Oh, look at this one. Litecoin. Litecoin not had a lot of big moves here more recently, but they're one of the top movers today, up 13%. Still probably not holding them long term. Sorry, Bitcoin Ben. I know that's your second favorite token. Not a lot of red today. I mean, we do have some, but as a whole, the biggest loser is Stacks, less than 3% to the downside. The Pepe now, that's a confusing one. Pepe down, even though it's a meme coin, but of course, you guys can see right there, last 7 days up still 145%. It kind of front ran this entire movement. So keep an eye there on Pepe. Potentially it could have a little pop up because the memes seem to be having some fun here recently, but we'll keep an eye there. That's about going to wrap up our market cap to do. Now, what we do have to do here, T-Shirt, before we get into the news, we do need to do our community trade. And I will say, guys, we knew it was going to happen. We knew eventually one of these trades where we make ourselves trade an hour when we don't necessarily wait for the right signals to enter, we knew that they were going to get lost eventually. And yesterday, we shorted Dogecoin because that's what the metric said to do. For a little bit of time, we were in profit, but we did get stopped out. So today, we have to start a brand new, fresh trade. We do have our first community loss. Today, the recommendation from our Discord members was to do a Caspa trade at 30x leverage. Let's go take a look at what Caspa is doing. Now, again, for the sake of this trade, I don't really care about anything over the 15-minute chart because anything over there could take a long time to play out. Let's turn on Lux Algo. Shout out to Lux Algo, sponsor the channel, and also the main reason we're able to win majority of these scalp trades. Just printed on the 15-minute chart, a nice 4 for bullishness. So that's going to go ahead. We've hit our take profit on the more recent short. We have a 4 print on the 15-minute chart. We do have some resistance above us, but I'm liking what I'm seeing there. 10-minute chart, let's see what it's saying here. We've got the same bullish print. So I'm leaning towards a long right now. We're going to go ahead and start longing, even though we do see a take profit for a short below us. Let's see what the oscillators are saying. Oscillators have just flipped bullish on the 5 minutes. So let's go ahead. Let's get in here. Let's go to our futures, and we're going to move over into Caspa. And enter a trade here. So 30x, according to our, we can't do, we're going to get as close as we can. 25x, close enough. We're going to do, again, I did 15, yes. I have to do 15 again. That's the lowest to let me. We're going to do it. We're going to write with 16. It's all right. We're going to go ahead and enter this long. Buy, long, confirm. We'll check up on it later. I'm not even going to put a take profit or anything later. We'll catch up as the time goes on. But there's our community trade. If you guys want to know more about this, you got to be on our Discord. You can help us select our community trade every single day. We do it live. But to enter to win the winnings at the end of the week, if we have profit, You can get it if you A, are in our Discord, and B, if you sign up with our Blofin link down below. Check it out. If you want to copy trade or make trades similar, we've been crushing it with these trades recently using Lux ALGO. Go look at all those subscriptions down below. Those are partners of the channel. They keep us going. And if you want to be serious about trading, you got to get those tools as well. By the way, T-Shroom, literally, you know this. We're about to get into the news here, but exciting for our members. We are about to close with a big, another big sponsor here very soon. What I'm very excited about, we've talked about them before, but I'm excited to announce to you guys within the next couple of weeks, we will be partnering with I Trust Capital. Some of you guys have already heard of them. Some of you don't know what they are. We'll tell you more about them in the future. Don't sign up just yet. Give us a couple of days to get all the links and everything going so that you support us as a channel. But we're very appreciative for anyone who partners with us to keep the channel going so we can create this daily content we bring you every single day. Shout out to I Trust Capital. Look for a link coming very, very soon. T-Shroom, let's dive into the breaking news. What is happening today in the world of crypto?
Well, Tim, we do have some breaking news here. Went out at 1:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, the free day of the year. This is a free day for everybody. Usually you would not get a February 29th, but because it's a leap year, get a free day. And we're choosing to do the exact same thing we would do on a Thursday. Yep. But technically, it's a free day. So if your employer's telling you to get something done and finish a deadline, just tell them, well, today's not technically real, so you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, tell them Solana's up 15%, so they can't talk to you that way anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Tell them. Not career advice. Let's keep moving here. Trading platform Robinhood, Layer 2, Arbitrum team up to offer swaps to users. So as you all know, I'm a pretty big fan of Robinhood. We've got a link down in the description. You get a free stock, and I get a free stock if you sign up for Robinhood there. Obviously, you've got to be American because you've got to be able to put your personal information in for improve your American citizen. But the two entities will be working to support access to cross-chain swaps and other campaigns that lower the barriers to use Web3 on the Robinhood wallet. Yep, so they're integrating and will now see one of the most recognizable trading platforms, Robinhood, bringing low-cost in-app swaps to a wide audience of traders. This is big. This is retail adoption unlocked. Chief Strategist Officer over at Off-Chain Labs said that this will be occurring. John Kerbrat, the general manager of Robinhood Crypto, said that accessing and transacting on Layer 2s has historically been difficult to non-crypto natives, but Robinhood Wallet now helps strip away the complexities to help onboard those new to Web3. So it's breaking news, Tim. This isn't going to be portfolio shattering or skyrocketing, right? But what this is it's an unlock. Just like we talk about the spot Bitcoin ETFs being an unlock to the institutional investors like pension funds, family offices, and different wealth managers. You know, this is an unlock to those on Robinhood. Now, it's the Robinhood wallet, not the Robinhood app, the one that you trade stocks and different things like that in crypto. But it's the wallet. It's the Robinhood wallet, it seems, which is different, kind of like Coinbase Pro. So that's the news. That's the news there, Tim. It's a big unlock for retail.
Yeah. Yep. And again, there's be a couple of things we're looking at here today. I want to make sure before we get too much further in, thank you to everyone who's here. Thank you for choosing Investing Bros today. We got a lot to discuss and break down and have conversation about the future of Bitcoin and crypto and some things that are happening that could be seen as a top signal. But I want to make sure it's clear. I'm not going to be predicting with 100% certainty anything today. We're still in a very messy situation. Yesterday, I kind of used an analogy of like, just because you see blood doesn't mean someone was shot, but at the same time, it could mean they were shot. What we see happening right now is we are seeing things in the market that could lead to this most recent push up to almost, so a little bit above 64,000. It could be the top, but it also could just be a distraction to before the real pump comes and we retouch, maybe even hitting new all-time highs. But we have had some things emerge that make us wonder, could this be the sign of the top? And let's go ahead and get on into that. T-Shroom, I'm going to do this, and then we're going to jump on with some charts here. This is Google Trends, and we actually discussed this yesterday. The data wasn't completely in, but if you're on Google Trends today, by the way, Google, the most used website in the world. I actually don't know if that's true, but I'm assuming it is. Yesterday, February 28th, 2024, check out what term was the number 3 most viewed search term on Google.
Wow.
Bitcoin price. Why
Incredible.
is that not a good thing? Well, because when you click on Bitcoin price and you go and look at the analytics, we'll go worldwide and you go, let's go last 5 years, you'll find that these serious peaks correspond with more often than not dips in the market. Retail doesn't heavily go look at Bitcoin when prices are low. They go and look after massive pumps because it's back in the interest. And some of these dates that you see, these big tops, you're going to look at dates like, come on now, June of 2022. You come back over here, obviously you're going to see this is May of 2021. Somewhere in here it's going to be the November of that's January, but over here we have November, October of 2021. These of course are significant tops, and I'm not going to say with 100% perfection and say like we have to reverse from here. But it is curious that not only do we see that happen, we're watching some other things happen here as well. We are 100% overbought for sure here now on the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. We hit our take profit, and even though we had multiple rejections and multiple red reversal signals, we are seeing the oscillator start to fall down. The money flow is coming back down to cross back below that bullish threshold. We do need to see some sort of bounce if we're going to continue to hold up. Let's come out to the daily chart, see what it is saying here. It actually still has a take profit slightly above us, and technically is still showing that the excessive buyers and money flow is positive. So again, let's continue to wait for a couple more days. I told you I want to see how we close out this month. But when we see things like our Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, look at that. They heard us talking about I Trust Capital, and they gave us an ad for it. How cute is that? We're still up above 80, massively in the greed. Not as high as yesterday where we were at 82, but I'm curious to see today, now that we're back at around 62, where do we land tonight as well? Where do we close out the month of February? When you come over to High Blocks Capital, you'll see here using Bitcoin, we took out all of the major liquidations, all of those shorts that we talked about, a short squeeze coming to play. The massive shorts are gone. Yeah, we've had a couple now that we've hit these high numbers start to tick up here towards 65, 67, up towards that 70K, that rematching of former all-time high. So that's why I'm saying continue to keep your eye out for that. But look where the heavier liquidations are actually coming in. We're actually looking back down towards 55,000, back towards a little bit below 50,000. And I come back over here to the charts. I turn off Lux Algo. Thank you to Lux Algo. Love seeing you. I'm not necessarily that the $55,000 price action is not even a crazy thought for a decent pullback. Why? Because we do have this former resistance level, this megaphone pattern that we did break bullish out of. However, a pullback to 55K would bring us back down to retouch that yellow line, one that after blasting through resistance, we never revisited for support. And to be fair, guys, this isn't even that big of a pullback. If anyone's saying, why is Tim so bearish? Guess what? A pullback to 55, that is not a big deal. We're not even talking about a 15% pullback. That's just a nice little healthy correction. Bitcoin slightly on sale that you can scoop up 15% cheaper than here just yesterday. That's actually a cool thing. If we lose that yellow line, that's when you start to wonder, all right, are we talking about that same 20% when we're coming back down to the levels we were just at here around 50K? Are we dropping to the former golden pocket that was strong resistance that we blasted through here around 48K? You start to look at those lower levels that are definitely something to be aware of. But for right now, again, we are seeing signs. Here's another thing. Let's look at this last one. I told you multiple signs here. Volume. Remember, I told you volume can communicate two things, either one, a reversal, or number two, momentum. Well, this high volume coming in right here at this peak. Look at the other times that we've had this peak in volume here on the 4-hour chart here more recently. Right here, back on January 12th. What was that? That was the top signal back here when we had a nice 20% pullback. You come back over here. We had some right in here. This was the big momentum that flashed us up. The other peaks you're going to see are going to be top signals when we stopped moving to the upside and traded sideways. So, again, am I saying for sure this is the top? No, but when I see these heavy retail investors coming in, crashing Coinbase, flooding Google search so that Bitcoin price becomes the third most searched term on Google, I do see some blue candles. Other charts are going to show red candles, but I do see some hesitancy matching that high volume. It is something that I cannot ignore to say, we might have a problem here. I would say the longer we do not break through and go higher than 64, the more likely it's not going to happen. Like I think we really need to see a break above 64 here very, very soon. Otherwise, we're going to see a repeat of kind of like what we saw back in July, June, earlier in 2023, where, yeah, we stayed up at that level, but it was just a little bit of a redistribution zone, a Bart Simpson pattern, and we ended up crashing another 20-something% to the downside. If we want to see new all-time highs before the halving, I think we need to get a move on it here in the next couple of days. Otherwise, you're just setting up a great example, a great place for people to be taking profit and move price back to the downside. T-Shroom, what are your thoughts about what you're seeing there?
Well, I have some thoughts, but honestly, Zachary Martin down in the chat is bringing up an excellent point, and I had a chance to research a little bit of what he's talking about. Once Coinbase jumps to top 10 apps, then start taking profits and get out. So, Tim, I did a little research. I jumped on to the World Wide Web, maybe you've heard of it, and I checked out the top charts for the App Store, and you can see the top 10 apps are not Coinbase. In fact, you have to scroll all the way down to number 100 before you see Coinbase. So as a topping indicator, which I don't know how reliable that's going to be this cycle. It may be more reliable, it may be less reliable than last cycle. But as a topping indicator, this is good. 100 out of 100, meaning that like it's the reverse of a top. So it's good to see. You know, it would be better to see Coinbase not even in the top 100, but thank you so much, Zachary Martin, for providing that indicator. It's something that I've heard about before. We've talked about it, I believe, but it's not something we bring up every day like the Fear and Greed Index. So that's what I'm thinking, Tim. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, and it's one of those things someone might be asking, okay, so let's pretend we could imagine, let's pretend we do think that this is the top. Should we be taking massive profits? So in your long-term hodl bag, should you take profit on all your Bitcoin holdings and wait for a 15, 20, 30, 40% drop? No, you shouldn't. If you have some trading portfolios, if you have been longing Bitcoin, maybe this is where you want to take some profit and wait to see what the next breakout looks like. But long-term hodl, I heavily advise people, if you have not done this already, to think through different types of portfolios. You have your long-term. Maybe some of you have even long-term forever. I'm never touching this bag. You have your, let's call it the Michael Saylor bag. Michael Saylor bag means I am never going to take away from this. I'm only going to keep adding to it. That's a great bag to have. The second one is your bull market bag, meaning I'm not going to take profit on this bag until I'm convinced that the bull market is coming to a close. I want to take my profit and wait for a massive bear. I'm going to wait for years because I'm waiting for a bear market to buy back in lower levels. Then you might have your swing trade to day trade portfolio where that's the level I'm saying, hey, yeah, we're seeing signs you might want to take some profit. In fact, several very smart investors are posting today that they're looking at taking profits after not taking profits at 50K and not taking profits at 60K. They're now looking around that 62 and saying, hey, after what we just saw happen at 64, I'm going to go ahead and take some profits and wait for the next move. Because, I see it in chat. Elliot J., I want to let you guys know, I always love when people comment and give corrections and make comments. You said, Tim, how many top signals are we going to see this month? Or how many times are you going to call one? Yeah, I have been very aware that we are kind of sitting on a little bit of a bubble that we could keep going up or the bubble could pop. I'm not 100% certain what's going to happen. And that's exactly why, if you're asking, did Tim just sell his Bitcoin? The answer is no. Because even though this looks like another situation that could send Bitcoin price back down, I'm going to keep my long-term bags in play. I'm not entering any new longs. I'm not betting on any more bullishness, but I'm also not going to bet against it either with my large portfolio. Mm-hmm. And it's always good to be ready to move based off of anything, to be ready to see a pump come. You have your game plan in place. I don't think we're going to rally, guys, after this. We're not going to see a price jump up to 65,000 and then reject. If we get to 65,000, good. We are going to probably be seeing a rematch, a double top of all-time high. You can go and enter a little long right there from 65 to about 69. That's a nice 4K move. That's a great trade situation. But if you don't see that happen and you start to see us lose 60K with some consistency, now you're looking for a short position to that level I just told you, at least 55K to revisit some support. That's how trading works. No trader in the history of trading with any asset knows with 100% certainty what the next move is going to be. But they do look for signs and probabilities and prepare themselves for, if this happens bullish, I will long. If this happens bearish, I will short. And ultimately, that's what we're kind of looking at today. Bitcoin could go up or could go down. These are the signs you're looking for, but we cannot ignore the signs that say price could go down.
Absolutely. And Eric Wallen makes a good point. We should specify local top, not cycle top. Yeah. Cycle top, we're not talking
not even close. Yeah.
Q2, Q3 of 2024. It's going to be further on into the future. Probably, given historical models, historical context, that's what is likely to happen. But of course, anything could happen. Yeah. So overall, I agree. This is not, selling is not really in my vocabulary right now when it comes to Bitcoin. There's some altcoins, especially meme coins, that maybe taking some profits and maybe taking all your profits, just going ahead and closing out that position might make sense. A thought that I've been entertaining more and more, Tim, is I wonder if some of these mining shares that I have might be something I could let go of to free up some liquidity for a rotation into Cardano, right? And maybe some other undervalued, kind of underbought cryptos, or just wait for a 30-40% pullback. The risk there, and the reason why I'm not entertaining those thoughts yet, I'm not acting on those thoughts yet, is because I'm not seeing the evidence that we're going to get a 30-40% pullback. We're going to read an article here in just a minute that's going to try to make that argument. But I'm ready, right? I'm planning, I'm thinking, and a shaving off 25% of my Bitcoin mining portfolio to then rotate back into lower prices. I don't see that as a loss, right? Now, if you sold it and then Bitcoin just shot up, yeah, you lose, but you're sitting there with cash. Nobody went broke taking profits, right? As the old saying is.
Yeah. I'm curious, because we have a little bit of pullback. Let's look at CleanSpark here, for example. You said that it's a little bearish here over the last couple 4 candles, but I'm curious what you think about this just from a fundamental standpoint. From a TA standpoint, we did just kind of come up here. We wrestled with this resistance level, but I think we're still below this. I think a breakout above that could be very bullish for CleanSpark. T-Shroom, you're going to know more about this than me. You've been tracking this chart a lot more. You've been tracking what the company's doing, the news and everything. But stick with me logically here and correct me if I'm wrong. We are now within 2 months of the Bitcoin halving, where it is not going to get easier to mine. It is not going to get cheaper to mine. It is going to become harder. It's going to be less rewards. These mining companies, these stocks, are based off of their mining output more often. They have their costs and everything. Is this not actually a good time to stay in those for maybe a sprint from some of these companies to try to mine as much as possible before it gets twice as hard to mine Bitcoin in the future? Am I off in my thinking there? What are your thoughts? Do you think we kind of priced in and it's time to cool off just because they already priced in that massive pump?
Well, Tim, or let me just let the audience know. Let me let the bros know. We did not set up this alley-oop. This would have been nice if we had, but I do have an article pulled up that with an interesting title. Bitcoin halving. I had no idea Bitcoin halving will benefit publicly listed miners. JP Morgan. So, when we hear JP Morgan, we like to watch what they do, not what they say. But they are saying here at a time where Bitcoin is putting in 2024 highs again and again, like almost every single day. And then the CleanSpark, the mining sector I have pulled up here, is honestly crapping the bed, right? You see CleanSpark down 8% today, Riot down 10, Marathon down 16. And this is after, you just pointed out on the charts, but this is after, you've had some down days. So in theory, this chart, if it was tracking Bitcoin 1-to-1, it should look like this, right? And it doesn't. If it was tracking Bitcoin's price, it just doesn't. Now, why is that? We don't know. My guess is that this is something else. My guess is that there's a certain class of Wall Street traders that are much a greater percentage of Bitcoin mining companies. And so their trading logic, their trading strategies, when they see oversold indicators, they don't ignore those indicators like we would in crypto. So that's kind of my thought, is that they're looking at CleanSpark, they're looking at Marathon, they're like pulling their hair out, like my boss is going to kill me if he sees how oversold these assets are. I need to take profits. But that's ultimately, in my opinion, and in the opinion of Caleb Franzen, who I think is going to be on tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, is a good time to buy these mining stocks, because you're absolutely right, Tim. They're positioned to make a lot of money, not only before the halving, especially before the halving, but also after the halving, because they're literally they're the ones minting Bitcoin, which is going up in value. So,
and Eric makes a great point here. And again, I preface this whole conversation by saying I do not spend my time thinking about the mining stock. So this is good stuff here. Eric Wallen says, Tim, the competition will fail. CleanSpark will take everything after the halving. So maybe it's the exact opposite of what I'm kind of thinking here, T-Shroom. Do you agree with Eric maybe we do see, after a nice run up on CleanSpark's chart, because it is overextended at the moment, maybe we cool off for the next month or two. But then when everybody else is struggling to be able to make profit, CleanSpark, they're so large, they have so much backing, they take all the competition and their stock skyrockets post-halving. I think that's what the article is pretty much implying too, that it should skyrocket after the halving. So maybe we do. Maybe we cool off on mining stocks for the next month or so in preparation for them to explode post-halving.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's right. And I think, again, it's because there's a lot more. We're seeing an increasing amount of institutional investment into Bitcoin, right? Yeah. But you have to assume that the folks buying Bitcoin miners it's a lot more of the Wall Street crowd, which have a different buying behavior, different trading behavior in the market than, just crypto traders and investors. Yeah. And so you're going to see a little bit of a divergence between the price per share for the stocks of Bitcoin miners and the spot price of Bitcoin from time to time, especially when we reach really oversold levels. But guys, this, again, like I've contemplated selling some of my mining stock. I'm very far from pulling the trigger, right? The gun's not even out of the safe for that decision. I'm just pondering it before I would ever sell my Bitcoin. At this point, I'm not convinced I'm ever going to sell the Bitcoin that I have. Because what would I, even going into the bear market, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. But that's a thought I'm having as well.
Yeah. Real quickly, we're going to move on and go into the next conversation, but I think this has been a very good conversation. If you are invested in Bitcoin mining stocks, put a 1 in chat.
Yes.
Put a 2 if you're not invested and you do not care, but put a 7 if you're not invested but you want to learn a lot more. Something that's really sparked me, I didn't actually know the statistic until the other day, T-Shroom. I didn't know that on average, the Bitcoin mining stocks move about a 4x pace to the Bitcoin chart. So I'm not saying sell all your Bitcoin and go buy Bitcoin mining stocks, but I am saying that is an advantageous chart to keep an eye on and be investing in. So let me know in chat if you guys want us to talk about the mining stocks a lot more frequently than we do. Maybe that's even a normal thing. Ninja Glock says, hate it. Just kidding. He says 2. Mixed results. We'll have to see how that one goes. That being said, T-Shroom, what's up next? What else is on the docket to discuss today?
Absolutely. Well, Tim, we've got a couple of stories. A couple of them are actually pretty hard hitting. One of the reasons why we may be seeing a slowdown in the price moving up and to the right for Bitcoin is because of the following. Grayscale was the biggest name in the sell the news event that happened around the Bitcoin spot ETF. And now it looks like they could be another name, kind of coming back and pumping the brakes for Bitcoin. I think it's a healthy pumping of the brakes, by the way. But let's check it out here. Grayscale approaches SEC for options on spot Bitcoin ETF. So you've heard of calls, you've heard of puts. Those are options that you can trade on top of publicly traded stocks. Okay, so Grayscale, to my knowledge, does not have that yet, and they are lobbying the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, maybe you've heard of them, to approve options on its spot Bitcoin ETF. According to Grayscale, this would open the ETF to a new class of investors, and they make a bunch of boilerplate arguments about why that would be advantageous to the market and increase liquidity and help for price discovery and all this. But ultimately, it's going to enrich a certain class of people who scalp trade options. And so that's interesting. It's not good or bad, but I do think what this is it's giving the market a little bit of pause, kind of processing, digesting, saying, okay, how is an options market that lives on top of publicly traded stocks like Coinbase, Grayscale, iBit, and CleanSpark, we were just talking about it. How is that dynamic going to change the market? And there's a good chance that it doesn't, right? Oftentimes, the futures markets and the options sitting on top of stocks are literally just one-for-one trading, and it might get a little bit divergent at some times during peak volatility. But for the most part, it's just kind of leveling out and front running, kind of what the stock market would do just seconds later, or minutes later, or in some cases days later. So ultimately, I don't think that this is going to be a bearish sentiment, overall bearish force on the Bitcoin spot price. But it does seem to be kind of, in my opinion, the leading story that's giving the market pause for bidding Bitcoin higher than its 2024 highs already, which can you really ask for much more, guys? I mean, it's been a nosebleed face melt higher here in February, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So not too much to digest with that story, but that is, would you agree, Tim, that kind of seeing that, do you think that's one of the major leading bearish prevalent winds on the market today?
Yeah, I would say so. I would agree with that as a whole. Now, something I'm curious to see here, a conversation, kind of segueing off this conversation with Grayscale. Tishu, you and I had this off camera, but I wanted to kind of entertain it on camera here. Do we have a lot more conversations, more stories, or is this kind of wrapping up before we get into Q&A?
There's about 2 more stories, yeah.
All right, I'll be quick then. So I'm looking up here. I'm looking up other coins or other access to crypto you can get via Grayscale, because I believe this was your argument, T-Shroom, and I absolutely love it. When we talk about what coins could really, really do well, and this is one of the coins on here is going to go against something we've said here recently, so I'm willing to entertain that. But coins that can do well are going to be if these ETFs and institutional platforms are going to be the easy on-ramps for a bunch of new buyers, maybe getting the TradFi guys into the world of crypto. The easy pick'ems, the low-hanging fruit are going to be the other crypto projects that they can get access to without having to go to a centralized exchange or a DeFi exchange or anything. It's going to be like via Grayscale or via Robinhood. And I'm looking here, definitely they'll get access to Ethereum, but of course we're probably not far away from an Ethereum ETF, so not too worried about that one. But there's some other ones here as well. Bitcoin Cash is going to be one of them. XRP is here from Grayscale. You can definitely get some of that. We already talked about that one. Litecoin, again, that's 2 of them. I've had some concern about XRP, and I have some concern about Litecoin, but there's a chance we see pumps on those simply because these newer investors who are like, all right, Bitcoin's awesome. What else is in the world of crypto? Without having to change where they're going to get their crypto, could go after these ones. Are there other ones like that on your radar, T-Shroom?
Other ETFs that exist to gain exposure to crypto?
Yeah, and I guess at this point we're more talking about futures ETFs than we are necessarily.
It's going to all be all futures ETFs.
There's only one spot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be all futures. I guess Galaxy Digital comes to mind, but I don't know how easy. I don't think you can buy that on Robinhood for some reason. I think it's a OTC stock that you have to have a special brokerage software account to be able to access. I've never tried to do that. I know that it's not all that impossible, and you don't have to be like a registered investor or anything to purchase that. But that's the only really thing that comes to mind, which illustrates Grayscale is so ahead of the market, and we see that in the market cap of its GBTC versus IBIT and Fidelity combined. They've had a front running position advantage, and that is coming to an imminent end. Although I don't think that the big 9 spot Bitcoin ETFs have even elapsed. Have eclipsed quite even 25% of what GBTC has. But the point is that no, I mean, I don't think that there's much else on the market in terms of crypto futures ETF offerings outside of GBTC. Yeah. So
Solana and Stellar Lumens are other ones you could get access to right now via Grayscale. So
yeah,
those are ones, low hanging fruit that it's like, hey, even if you're not in love with the product as a whole, there could be a pump in those just because, again, you have this massive wave of new investors who know nothing about the world of crypto, but as they try, that's the easiest things for them to pick up. They might want to learn more about them. All right, let's get in. You said we have 2 more articles to get into, and then we'll go into some Q&A. We'll look at some charts, any altcoins you guys want to take a look at. We can discuss more. I saw earlier Bedridden said, can we talk more about the silverback gorilla and T-Shroom? Might have to see if you've reevaluated your take on that one.
Yeah, we might have to dip back into that. Let's take a look here at the next story. U.S. House panel votes to disapprove of controversial SEC custody guidance. So this one was a little
Mr. Bowtie. You gotta love him.
Yeah, absolutely, Patrick McHenry. This one was a little confusing, so I'm going to just put it simply, and then we can kind of talk. So they have advanced a resolution that will disprove essentially what was a bill. And this is the House Financial Services Committee. This is not going to affect your portfolio, just a disclaimer, but it is good to know, especially for Americans, kind of the way that things are shaking out. This is much more of an institutional facing concept story. So Republican Michael Flood said it well. One of the resolution sponsors said in his issue with the guidance is that it prevents banks from effectively ever custodying a digital bank. So put simply here, Tim, what does this mean? You go to Wells Fargo in 2030, right? If this bill goes through, when you deposit your Bitcoin to Wells Fargo, that crypto is actually going to Coinbase. It's custodied by Coinbase still. Right. That's currently the reality for most of the ETF, right? That it's not being custodied by BlackRock. In fact, Fidelity is famously one of the only ETF issuers that also custodies their own crypto. So what this bill would do is essentially say Wells Fargo will never be able to it's not a legal thing. It's the way that it would be claimed on their balance sheet, which is disadvantageous to tax preparation and just in terms of like what investors want to see on a balance sheet from a bank. That bill would essentially make it disadvantageous. The bill looks like it's not going to pass. So it's kind of like a big nothing burger, but it's something to consider that this was even being thought about, even made its all way up to Capitol Hill to come across the desk of elected officials in the House. So that's that story. And generally that's going to be good because now banks, will be able to hold crypto assets for their clients, for their customers on their own balance sheet. So that is that.
That probably warrants a deeper conversation. The more and more we think about it, like, do we want the banks to be able? I don't know. Like,
I think it's probably unavoidably bullish. But if you really play the time out and you go into the time machine and see what ends up happening here is these banks probably all reconsolidate under a hybrid of crypto and TradFi names. So JP Morgan would probably be acquired by X bank. Let's say Elon Musk's X becomes hyper successful and it merges with Google, and then there's in the future there's going to be kind of a big movement against antitrust, and there's going to be a big consolidation of corporations. And so eminently everything that humans are doing interacting with the network that sometimes incorporates corporations, sometimes it's DAOs, sometimes it's other individuals. It's not going to matter, in my opinion. But right now, before this transition period, it matters a lot because people want to trust their banks. They want to trust Wells Fargo to hold their Solana and their Bitcoin. They don't want to trust Coinbase. That's not you, that's not me, but that's people who are really rich and really paranoid that are thinking.
At the end of the day, try as little as you can to trust anyone to hold your crypto. Hold it for yourself. Get a cold wallet. Before we move on, question from Yazer Doinkasaurus. Love it. If BlackRock owns 51% of Bitcoin supply, what happens? Well, what happens is BlackRock is very wealthy, and they're already very wealthy. But if you're asking, do they have some form of control over Bitcoin? No. Just owning 51% of it as a whole doesn't give them that ability. And the good news is that with all of the whales that are currently, and you still have Satoshi holding a massive amount. Michael Saylor has pretty much come out and said, I'm never selling. So he has a massive amount. We're not going to ever see BlackRock hold 51%. But even if they did, let's just draw that line. That's still not going to allow them to get a 51% attack. They're going to need to control 51% of the miners. That's one of the reasons why here a couple of years ago, there was concern when we had more than 60% of Bitcoin mining being done in China. Theoretically speaking, if Chinese government had really understood what was in their backyard, they could have issued a countrywide control measure where they would have seized control over all that mining, and all of a sudden the Chinese government had control of more than 51%. Now you're talking about a 51% attack on Bitcoin. But just owning 51% supply, that doesn't have to do with it. Yeah, there we go. He said, thank God, hash rate. Yep, that's exactly right. So again, would BlackRock be very wealthy? Yes, they would. Yeah. Would they have control over Bitcoin? No, they would not.
One thing they could do is burn it all, right? They could send it to a dead wallet, and that would be very crazy.
You could literally put it in a cold wallet and then take that cold wallet and the seed phrase and let no one ever know what it was. And then, effectively that Bitcoin is gone forever. But of course, let's say they did that. Now all of a sudden, the 49% of Bitcoin just became that much more valuable. Like that's the other thing to think about is because we don't have to do Bitcoins in individual Bitcoins. In the future, we've said this before, if you own one Bitcoin in 20 years from now, if you own one Bitcoin, you are amongst the top 1% elite wealth in the world. That's how it's going to be. I believe it's going to get to a point where if you were to even own a 10th of a Bitcoin, your wealth will be seen as crazy. Like you're not necessarily going to be a billionaire, but like that to be the equivalent of being like a 100 millionaire. Because it's going to be so hard. There will be burning of Bitcoin one way or another. It's going to be so rare, but that's going to make it all the more valuable. And we'll just keep breaking it down into Satoshis. At a certain point, if we only have 1 million Bitcoin in circulation, so there's only 1 million to get a hold of, we can still break it down into billions of Satoshis, trillions of Satoshis, and you can still measure wealth in that way.
Yep. Now if you look at the major investors into the Bitcoin mining companies like CleanSpark and Marathon and Riot, BlackRock is not a name that is foreign to those lists, right? JP Morgan, not a name that is foreign to those lists. So Wall Street is bought into these Bitcoin mining companies. They understand what 51% could mean, but to my knowledge, they don't own anywhere near what 51%. The issue too is that there's a bit of a I don't know if that it's a chicken and the egg fallacy here, but it's if you were to even approach 51% ownership of Bitcoin and then start to talk about major changes, it's kind of like leading a giant global propaganda campaign against gold being valuable while also being the number one buyer of gold. It's the interests are so obviously countervalent that you would never do that. But crazier things have happened, I suppose. So it's not completely ruled out, but it would be very, very strange to do that, right? Because you're going to suffer a ton of loss unless you somehow acquired the Bitcoin without paying for it, and then you don't suffer a loss because you're just killing software at that point. You don't care about the underlying value of the software. But they care an awful lot because they've swapped their dollars for Bitcoin, right? Or their underwriters have, at least. And their underwriters will just take them to court if they did something like that. There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of possibilities for craziness in the future. But ultimately, it's not $1 trillion piece of software for nothing, right? It's very well built. 2009, impenetrable. So it's great.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the 51% attack. We'll let you know when that's something to worry about.
Let's jump in here. We got probably a couple minutes. We're going to run a little bit past 4, as we have been doing here recently. Special announcements.
Yes. I know we kind of droned on with that last bit, but there was one more story. I'll make it brief. 9 a.m. bros have been hearing me kind of rail on that 42,000 level. Tim, I don't know if you saw this morning. So the last time that Bitcoin flipped the ruble was January 8th, 2021. And if you go to that price point, I'll just go ahead and do the quick maths here. I mean, the conclusion is that we could be in for a check back down to 42,000 because of what happened in January 8th. And it was a very similar time to where we are now. I'm going to go to my chart here in just a second for those of you.
Well, while you're doing that, Bedridden said Michael Saylor does have power to control the price of Bitcoin. Imagine if he says he's selling, you own a lot of Bitcoin, you control the power of it somehow. The answer is yes. If you own 51% of Bitcoin, you could have control over the price of Bitcoin, but you couldn't inherently change Bitcoin. And I think T-Shroom gave a nice example there of like the incentive that if you were to buy up 51% to then manipulate the price, well, you just ruined your store of value. So you always think about it like that. Like if Michael Saylor were to come out and try to sell half of his Bitcoin holdings, the amount of wealth he would lose by the time he actually got every single one of them sold would crush the entire purpose of it. His best bet would be to just very slowly, bit by bit, sell it so he can keep as high a value as possible. He's not going to come out and dump half his bags on us. It would actually hurt him a lot more than it would hurt us.
Yep. Thank you, Tim. So basically, January 8th was the last time that Bitcoin flipped the ruble. Now, that is not a statistically super significant thing, right? But the last time that happened, we did get an 8%, a 32% pullback, 31.8% to be precise from wick to wick. Now, if you go and you look at today's chart, which I will scroll over to behind to not make anybody really dizzy. But if you go over to the chart and run that analysis, you actually do see down 32% would bring us right down into that 43, 42 level, right? And then you're seeing here, Bitcoin could slide to 42K after having hype subsides from JP Morgan. And, this investing bros, stop being so freaking bearish. I get it. We get it. But we're just trying to save the noobs a little bit of worry. We're trying to keep people from selling some kind of major drop and then getting burned and not coming back to Bitcoin. The smart thing to do here is to have an assumption that we will have a pullback. And a 30 to 40% pullback has happened historically. But we don't know that it's going to happen. So invest and trade accordingly.
Yep. All right, well, let's do this. Let's get into some good Q&A here, finishing out the show. It does look like we glitched here a little bit. I think we're back to normal. I did notice that on my screen, but sometimes it's hard to tell. So, wouldn't be a bro show without at least one glitch.
That's right.
And you guys know, anytime you get pixelated Tim, that's a treat of a show.
Yeah.
Right there.
Screenshot it, make an NFT.
Go ahead and enter in your chat. Let's check in here. I know we got to, what we got to do while we get a chat. We do got to check in on our trade. We are up 40 cents.
Nice.
Woo, on Caspa. Real winners today. We'll let that one kind of ride. We also have our factoid of the day, but go ahead and put in what questions you guys want to ask us. Do we want to talk more? We want to look at some charts. Just so you guys know, we mentioned Caleb Franzen will be joining the show tomorrow. I will be out, and I completely forgot to tell you guys I was going to be out tomorrow. It's a good reason. For another thing I didn't forget, tomorrow is my wife Taylor's birthday, so we're going to be celebrating. So I will be out all of tomorrow. There will be no video at noon. There will be no I won't be here for the 3 p.m. show. Caleb Franzen, though, is going to be coming to hang out with you guys in T-Shroom. I can't wait to watch that episode back, hear what Caleb Franzen's thinking about all of this stuff, because he's been doing really well with his calls. He's had some nice friendly banter over on Twitter here recently. Maybe you can get some funness out of him with that conversation as well,
yeah.
T-Shroom.
It's going to rock. It's going to rock.
Let's do the factoid, and then I see George Martinez has a good question. What do we got for today? What did the elf cook up for me?
Absolutely. Well, factoid of the day brought to you by decrypted.tax. If you're looking for a tax pro, go over there and check out our partners. They do our tax, and I know that they're going to do a really good job with yours as well. The Punjabi region spans which two nations, Tim? Pakistan and India, Pakistan and Nepal, India and Nepal, or Pakistan and Afghanistan? And also, drop a 1 in chat if you speak Punjab or if you identify culturally with the Punjab culture. Love to know.
I'm going to say Pakistan and Nepal. I'm not necessarily like a genius when it comes to geography, but I know that those are very close. Okay. It could be Pakistan and India as well. Obviously, they share a border as well. I can't remember I know Nepal's there, south, but I can't remember if it shares a border with Pakistan or not, but I'm going to go with it. Although Zachary Martin is saying India and Nepal.
And Zachary Martin's a smart cookie, reminding us about the Apple Store indicator.
Yeah. That does bode well to say he might. I said B, though. I'm going to stick with B. I'm probably wrong. Again, another topic that I do not know anything about. But
well, Tim, you're actually right that you're wrong.
Yep. Pakistan, India. Well,
here's the Punjab region here is shared. It crosses the border of India and Pakistan, according to this picture. Okay. Right, this is just one picture, but it is from Wikipedia. The Punjab, sometimes spelled Punjabi, is an Indo-Aryan language native to the Punjab region of Pakistan and India. So there you go. And we've been seeing some statistics on our analytics that there's some folks tuning in from the land of Punjab. Or at least
okay. Well, welcome. If you guys are from Punjab, welcome. I saw Morgan Powell just said, enjoy the show, just subscribed. Shout out to Morgan. Thank you so much. Also, next week, I saw some people earlier asking about it. We'll tell you guys on Saturday. We'll have our Saturday show this week. TJ and I will confer. We will be doing, though, next week. We will have a members only stream next week. More than likely, like following right after the live show. So about 4 p.m., 4:15, one day next week, we'll let you guys know what day that's going to be. But I know a lot of you guys have been asking about that, and we are delivering next week. T-shirt, what did you find so funny?
Bro time is coming back. It is inappropriate, but Eric Wallen is a funny guy.
Oh, my gosh.
So we love it.
Okay, yeah, Eric Wallen. That does make sense. All right, George Martinez says, Tim. Oh, I think you asked this. Man, look at this. I want to shout out George. Special shout out to George Martinez. This guy is good. He commented this question earlier, and I told him, hey, come ask during the live show, and here he is asking the question. So, George, I like you. You are officially a bro in my mind forever. All right, George says, if ADA goes to 70 cents to $1, somebody watched my video earlier. Of course, that's what he commented on. In the month of March, and there is a pullback after the Bitcoin halving, what is the price of ADA that we could be looking at then? Now, we talked about this before with crypto. Now, T-Shroom just talked about the concept of healthy bull markets. I'm glad T-Shroom said it because I always say it and then everyone gets upset with Tim for saying it. So T-Shroom, thank you for taking the heat. Normal bull markets in Bitcoin have pullbacks of 30 to 40%. Like if you're looking at this chart, let's look at Bitcoin real quickly. and I were to tell you to look at the price action between this time right here, it's September of 2020, and the price action here of April 2021, you're like, oh, look at that parabolic bull market right there. That's just phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. Well, guess what, guys? During this parabolic bull market, we still had a nice 16% pullback right there. The one that T-Shroom referenced, we had more than a 30% pullback right here. If I can grab this tool, come on now, boom. A nice 30% haircut on Bitcoin price, and that still was a very explosive bull market. So when we say Bitcoin could fall roughly 30-40%, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal at all to cancel out a bull market. When it comes to altcoins, when Bitcoin's falling here 30-40%, let's look at these dates. The date here was about January 7th to the 24th. Let's see what Cardano did during that time period. There's a nice little wick right there, but let's see, January 7th, that's when we really started having some good explosion, honestly. Bitcoin's fall was Cardano's nice upheaval, but right here, you had a nice 35%, so a little bit more aggressive pullback on Cardano, and then the things really started to spice up there. The point is, Bitcoin falls a little, altcoins will fall a little bit more. So if Bitcoin does pull back something like 30 to 40%, expect Cardano to be something more like 35 to 50%. Let's say we get to that 70 cent. That's easy. We fall back to 35. We get to $1. That's 50 cents. Ultimately, what I'm keeping an eye on is this level right in here where we bounced back before. Again, a former very strong resistance level. We could turn it back again. 47 cents is in the cards. We talked about 38 cents being another level that could be very interesting. It is the point of control when you take a look at the entire fixed range volume profile to this date. But I would say, again, especially with a move up to 70 to $1, we're looking at 40, 50%. I think right there in that region, if we get a little above there, I think that 46, 47 cents would be an amazing buying opportunity for Cardano. Not ruling out lower levels, but that would still be a very normal pullback for a bull market price action to happen here with Cardano.
I like it.
Hopefully that helps you,
I like it.
George.
Vito Nasso had an interesting question. What do you guys think of Arweave's tweet the other day from the dev team about them solving the scalability issue? My answer to that is, look, guys, like we follow a decent amount of coins. Arweave, I'm just gonna shoot straight with you guys. It's not one that's like on our tongues very often. We're not talking about that one very constantly. Cardano is one that we do cover quite constantly, and Ethereum and Chainlink and Bitcoin, obviously, and Caspa is pretty popular here. But Arweave is not, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good project. So what do? You turn to the market, right, which is a consensus of value. The consensus clearly is that Arweave, the dev tweet, is probably true, right? Or at least the market is saying it's has enough confidence to believe it's true to put their money where their mouth is and swap fiat, swap other crypto for Arweave. So that's my answer to that. I don't know if it's true or not, but the market does. Market seems to.
Okay. Last one we're going to look at here today from Zachary Martin, bringing us that alpha about Coinbase in the App Store. We're going to keep that one in the back pocket, save it for a rainy day. FHA, Fala. Going to be honest with you, never heard of Fala before. Let's take a look at it here. It has been around, it looks like, for now. This will be coming into a second bull market because it was created back here in 2020. It's not necessarily done anything nuts. Of course, let's take a look at this rally. I'm talking about in comparison to previous price action. Has had a 100% rally here over the last couple of weeks. But you can see here the next level you're looking at resistance-wise, right up here on 22 cents, give or take, the price action of February of 2023. Let's see what Lux is saying about it. We're out here on the daily chart. I'm not really going to go too much further to downside, though. It looks like we hit profit here recently, got a nice explosive rally, but could it have a little bit of cool-off coming? Not necessarily yet. I mean, I want to see this get a little bit more bearish. We just crossed bullish above the bullish threshold. There's excessive buyers coming in. With that on the radar, let's take a look at the weekly chart is saying. Ooh, weekly chart breaking through resistance right now. So that could be big. If you really want to get spicy with it, the weekly chart is saying we could get up to 27 cents. That's a little much. So let's go split the difference, go 3-day. Take profit after buy order. We're looking at, 27 cents. All right. So those kind of agreeing right there. So ultimately, we are very overextended right now on the daily chart. So I'm not going to predict that this is just going to skyrocket up there. But at the same time, if you let it cool off here just a little bit, kind of get its bearings about it, a move to 27 cents is not crazy. Although, like I said, even on the 3 daily chart, we're wrestling with a flat level of red resistance. We are 100% overbought. Again, money flow is still flowing positive. So until I see that money flow keel over and I start to see the oscillator keel over as well, what's MACD saying? Yeah, it's going explosive. I am not shorting Fala right now whatsoever. Might look to take some profit because it's up 100% in the last couple of weeks, but cannot say with certainty that rally is over. What I would just say is keep an eye on some moves that it makes here over the next little bit. But yeah, good question there.
Yep.
Let's see, that was Zachary. So, guys, that's all we have for you in today's show. We do have to go, but it has been a blast. Thank you to every single one of you who came in here. We're going to continue to keep it 100 with you guys every single day. We're going to tell you what you need to hear, not always what you want to hear. If things are looking good, we're going to be extremely bullish. If things are looking bad, we're going to be bearish. And if things are looking mixed, we're going to tell you guys we have no idea what's happening. Continue to watch. That's exactly what we did today. Shout out to Morgan Powell with that super chat. Is it reasonable for AVAX to hit 8 to 10x from here? Based off of my last prediction, yes, it is realistic for AVAX to hit an 8 to 10x from here going up. But if you want to know why, you got to go watch my AVAX price prediction video. Go check it out. For the rest of you guys, thank you for being here. Smash the like button on your way out. If you enjoyed the show and you are not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button as we get closer and closer to that 10,000 subscriber mark. We need your help. Share the channel with all your friends and family, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.